going on, people? Today we're gonna go ahead and go over the bargain store that is out, because I have been asked a couple of questions here regarding this bargain store, and so we're gonna go on down the line and go over my thoughts about each one. Now, this bargain store is probably one of the best ones we've gotten maybe ever, because just look at the amount of choices that you have to make here. Now, with that being said, that also means that with a lot of choices comes a lot of gems being sucked out. So if you don't have a lot of the gems, you're gonna have to pick and choose wisely as far as what you actually want to get, because remember, whatever it is that you want, you can get it essentially 3 times, because it is a 3-day event. So don't go into day 2 buying too much and then on day 3 be out of gems and be like, damn, I don't know what to do now. So just plan ahead if you don't have a lot of gems. Now, let's go over some of these. The Crimson Chest at 10,000, let's just say 10,000 because that's what it is. One Crimson Chest at 10,000. This can either be really meh value or it could be really, really good. So essentially, you're going to be paying 50,000 gems per day for 5 chests that each have a chance to give you anywhere from a common main, which is probably most likely what you're going to get, all the way to a legendary. Now, if you are still working on champion, I would say that this is definitely worth the gamble if you have the gems for it. If you're not really working on champion, or you're not really anywhere near close to anything, then maybe skip out on it unless you have plans in the future to actually do it. So just keep that in mind. Now, I get to the next one, which is probably one of the worst values that you're going to see here. The Champion Jewel. It's at 12,000 gems per jewel. Not like, oh, you get a ×4 or anything. No, it's 12,000 per jewel. That is horrendous value. Okay? Horrendous. Essentially, you can walk out of here with what is it, like maybe close to a purple, something along those lines. And listen, this is really not worth it whatsoever. It's really not. Let me see. You are gonna walk out with 18 commons, and that essentially it's not even a purple. So the only time I can ever suggest somebody getting this is if you're really close to getting a gold jewel and you're only missing like 10 jewels or something like that, right? Where you're just right around the corner from getting that upgrade. If you don't have any sort of champion jewel anywhere near gold, I would completely stay away from this, because 12,000 is just way too much. So just keep that in mind. Again, you make your own choices with your gems and whatnot, but this is a pretty terrible value. Now we move on to Astrolite. This is pretty much the same that it's been before. 5,000 per Astrolite. For the going rate of Astrolite right now, this is actually a pretty damn good value. So if you're going to be making sure that your equipment is upgraded, the Astrolite is for sure going to be a decent value for you. Then we get to the Chest of Packs, which I've always said that if you're still working on any of these familiars, Huey Hops, Frostwing, Queen Bee, this is always going to be worth it, because these packs are not very cheap. So to be able to get them from gems is going to be good. Now, the other drops are not as good, especially the last 3. But the Chaos Core is actually pretty decent value too. But yeah, if you're still working on those familiars, definitely grab this, because you can get what, like almost, what is it, like almost 50 of these chests. That's really good value. Then we have Legendary Ember Chest ×3. This is also very good, especially if you're still taking some of your gear up to Mythic. This is decent value because these chests actually have a pretty good drop rate. So your chances of getting a purple or even a gold from even just one chest is decently high compared to anything else that comes in chests. So I would highly recommend Ember Chests if you're still working on mythic materials, which, I mean, most people still are, but hey. And then we have one of the biggest changes so far in the bargain store, in which they're actually finally including some of the new gear materials here, the Gorilla's Rage, Lunar Crest, and Forbidden Tome. I would always say, considering that this is it's a blue every time you purchase it, at 3,600, that is actually very, very good value, because even if you buy the chest for these things, they're not that easy to come by. So if you're working on any of this gear, or even if you plan to work on any of this gear in the future, I would highly recommend you grab this, because this is actually not too shabby and it's a great addition. I'm glad that they're finally adding some of the new gear stuff in here, that way some people can get it. And a lot of people overlook like the free-to-play aspect of it, but a lot of times with these bargain stores, a free-to-play player can actually get these things and build like a blue or a purple equipment, and that is actually a really good upgrade for them. So that's really nice to see those here. And then we have some of the more of the same that we've seen before, even though this is a little bit less value as far as gem wise anyway. But you have the halo, the blueprints, and the mutated brain for those that are still working on those. Those are very, very good. I would always suggest you get the glowing halo, because everybody needs cups. You know, if you have 3, well, you can use 6. If you have 6, well, you can use 9, 6, etc, etc. So I would always recommend the glowing halos. The other ones just depends if you're done with the big items there. But it's still really, really good value if you're still working on these items. And then on top of all of that, we also have the jewels, the terror jewels and the Trojan jewels. Now, these is obviously, it's going to be focused more on infantry. So if you're still working on your infantry jewels, this is going to go a long way. The terror jewel is probably one of the easier monster jewels to get compared to like Gargantua, for instance. But still, if you're still working on it, this is actually not bad. Although I must say, you know, 3,600 per jewel and 2,500 is still a little steep, but nowhere near as steep as the champion jewel. So yeah, just again, if you are limited on your gems, make sure that you prioritize correctly what's more important to you. And I can see these jewels being at the bottom of the priority list, just because of what you get comparative to the price. So yeah. And then at the bottom, as it's customary, we have the Wolfpack sigils. You can get up to 12 per day. At 2,600, it's actually not too bad, considering that Wolfpack sigils is not very easy to get, and it is also especially good for fillers, especially free to play, that are still working on their sigils and they want to improve, at least when they're filling rallies, and this is a good way to go about it. And then the star scrolls, you get 10 scrolls per 5,000, so essentially you can get 30 scrolls for 15,000 gems per day, which is actually pretty good. It might, you know, get you some upgrades on any of your castles that you might have. The last thing is experience elixirs, 5 of them for 3,500. This is definitely not for everybody, especially if your familiars are up to date. But if you are definitely trying to catch up on your familiar levels and whatnot, I can see people really wanting this. And that's pretty much the bargain store. Now, I say that's pretty much the bargain store, but let's be honest. If you were to buy this whole thing, that's a lot of freaking gems, okay? So even me at 4 million gems, I probably won't even get half of the stuff that's here. One, because a lot of it I don't really need. And number 2 is because I don't really like some of the value. I think the champion jewel value is just terrible, terrible value. So yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with anything that I said, or you disagree? Let me know down in the comment section. But also remember, a little bit of a disclaimer. At the end of the day, everybody's needs are different. Everybody's goal and their account is different. So if there's something that I said is low value to me, but it's actually high value to you, then go ahead and grab it. At the end of the day, you are the one that's going to make those choices as to what it is that you want to prioritize on your account. But yeah, I'm just giving you guys like a general thought of where I think most of this value is. Either way, after these 3 days, we're all going to be very, very poor gem-wise. So yeah. Also, one last thing to quickly touch on. This event here, the How to Train Your Dragon collab, is actually going to be 2 months. I did not expect a 2-month event. That changes a lot, because 2 months, okay, I can see where you can actually start planning some things out, etc. So good to see that. But yeah, like I mentioned, leave your comments down below. Appreciate you guys for coming through. And until later, bye.